Most investors are doing gold completely wrong. They either ignore it or they buy it, shove it in the corner of their portfolio, and let it sit there. No yield, no income, no plan. Just a shiny rock they hope will work out. In this video, I'm going to show you how to turn gold from dead weight into deliberately engineered income stream. Same metal, different mechanics. We're going to cover three things. First, why gold actually deserves a slot in the modern portfolio and what makes it unlike any other asset. Second, 3 gold ETFs that all claim to give you smart exposure and why the one with the best story is structurally the worst. Third, how to spot the kind of structural edge in gold that financial advisors do not even know exist. For those of you new here, my name is Mark Anderson, construction worker turned zero DT and multi-strategy hedge fund manager of MBH Capital Management. I've sold over $100 million in zero DT premium and run a multi-strategy fund. Let's get into it. Before we talk about how to hold gold, we need to be clear on why gold belongs in the conversation at all. There's a famous comparison that looks back 2,000 years around 14 AD. A Roman legion leader made roughly 38.5 ounces of gold per year. In 2013 prices, that was about $54,000 a year. A US Army captain's base pay at the same time was almost the exact number, translated into gold terms. Think about what that means. Two of the most powerful empires in history, separated by 2,000 years, paying roughly the same amount in gold to the people they trust to lead their men into battle. You can't say that about stocks. You can't say that about bonds. You can't say that about real estate. Gold has preserved purchasing power across empires, currencies, and entire systems coming and going. And what makes it even more interesting is that this was not a coordinated decision. Civilizations in Europe, Asia, and the Americas all independently converged on gold as valuable. Different cultures, different religions, different technologies, same conclusion. That kind of global, cross-cultural agreement is rare. You don't get that with copper, you don't get that with wheat, you get that with gold. Now here's where most retail investors get confused. Gold is a store of value, not a growth engine. A store of value is something that mostly keeps your purchasing power stable over long periods of time. It does not promise to compound your wealth. It promises not to let your wealth evaporate. If you held $10,000 worth of gold for the last decade, the purchasing power has been preserved. You didn't get rich, but you also would never blow up. The trade-off here is obvious. Gold does not pay you to own it. There is no coupon, there is no dividend, there is no rent check. It just sits there doing its job as an anchor. So here's the real question of this video. If gold is arguably the best store of value in human history, can we engineer a way that it pays us while it sits there? This is where we move from buy and hope to financial engineering. And this is where these ETFs come in. I want you to think about these 3 ETFs like 3 electricians bidding the same job. All 3 will get your lights on. On the surface, they all sound reasonable. But when you open the submittals and you look at what they actually are doing behind the walls, the differences are huge. We are going to take a look at KGLD, the marketing-driven product, YGLD, the capital-efficient product, and IAUI, covered call overlay that harvests the structural edge in the product. KGLD's pitch is simple. We give you gold exposure and an attractive dividend yield by using options and derivatives. Since gold goes up over time, we don't sell calls to ensure that you have full upside exposure. Here's what is actually going on. Under the hood, they call this a synthetic gold exposure with options. A common way to do that is to sell a put at 50 delta and buy a call at 50 delta. Net, you end up with something that behaves very similar to a leveraged long position in gold. You don't own the bars in a vault. You own a turbocharged shadow of gold. You effectively created a gold future option contract with 100 long delta. KGLD takes a slightly higher exposure than 100 delta so they can match the performance of gold with 100 delta, and distribute any gains in the forms of dividends for the remaining 25 delta they take on. Then they take the gains from the levered exposure when gold goes up and they distribute that part back to you as dividends. But here's the problem. When gold is ripping higher, this looks amazing. You feel good because you see the price appreciation plus a big payout. The story matches the statement. When gold is flat or down, they still target that distribution. So where does it come from? It comes out of your capital. They are not pulling income out of thin air. They are just slicing up your potential upside and handing it to you on a schedule. You're converting volatile upside into more stable looking payout streams and calling it income. The only real economic difference compared to just holding physical gold is tax treatment. Physical gold in the US is taxed as a collectible at a higher rate, up to 28%. KGLD runs this through options in an ETF structure that can shift more of the economics into capital gains and dividend income treated at closer to 15 to 20% tax rate. So what is the actual trade? You're taking leverage directional gold risk. You're accepting decay when gold is not cooperating, and you are doing it to save future percentage points on taxes and to get prettier, more regular looking payouts. If an electrician quoted you $2,000 to install a light and you never asked what was included in the line item, that is KGLD. Yes, your light turns on, but you wildly overpaid for what is inside the walls and you have no idea what you actually bought. There is not a durable edge there. It's just leverage, options, and marketing. YGLD from Simplify is more sophisticated. This one is interesting. Here's the high-level description. For every dollar you invest, they target about $1.50 of gold exposure using futures. On top of that, they sell short-term option spreads, primarily put spreads on equity indexes like the S&P 500 and sometimes other assets to generate income. So for $1 of capital, you get $1.50 of gold plus an options income overlay. Why does that matter? First, the leverage. If gold does its job and holds or grinds higher over time, you get 150% per dollar. That's capital efficiency. You are using the same dollar to hold T-bills for safety in margin while you're getting more gold exposure. Second, the options overlay. They will typically sell defined risk put spreads on equity indexes like the S&P. When the markets are calm or slowly rising, those put spreads tend to expire worthless and you keep the premium. That premium becomes a yield on top of your gold exposure. This is attractive because over the last 20 years, gold's correlation to the S&P is about 0. So the assets offset one another and provide a diversified portfolio. Markets go up, gold slightly appreciates and acts as a store of value, and the put spreads and the S&P give you a 5% yield. The stock market goes down, gold acts as a flight to safety and appreciates as you lose on your put spreads and beautifully construct a pair. This pair worked in 2022 and 2008. So far, so good. But what's the catch? The catch lives in the futures structure. It's called contango. Futures price reflect not just today's spot price, but also the cost like storage, insurance, and financing. For a non-yielding asset like gold, that usually means the futures curve is upward sloping in what's called contango. Next month's contract is a bit more expensive than this month's. When that happens, you pay a roll tax. Every time you move from an expiring contract into the next one, you sell the cheaper one, but buy a more expensive one. And then you lose a little bit each time you roll the contract. Over time, that cost adds up. Historically, long futures tend to underperform holding the metal outright by over 1% a year, and more in some bull markets because there's a negative carry. So part of the nice looking yield you see from those put spreads is just funding the roll cost. It is a clever product. You do get more gold exposure per dollar, a real options income stream, and diversification benefits when gold and equities move differently, but understand this clearly. YGLD is not a free yield. It is a package, capital efficient, plus an income engine that also has a cost to roll the future, taking away from the yield. Now we get to my preferred way of holding gold and having it pay you. This is the ETF IAUI, riding covered calls on top of it. This flips the contango problem on its head, and it takes advantage of how options are priced on gold. Remember the upward sloping futures curve we just talked about? The futures market is telling you that out in time, gold should trade a bit higher than it does today because of the cost of storage, financing. The gold market is in contango 85 to 90% of the time. When you sell a call option on gold, part of the price you collect is tied to the expected upward drift. The buyer is paying for convexity plus the embedded carry. You are now on the receiving end of the cost of carry instead of paying for it. In plain English, when you write a covered call on gold, you get paid for the same structural forces that hurt you when you're holding the long future. That is the first edge. The second edge is how volatility is priced on gold. In equities like the S&P 500, the more valuable options tend to be on the downside, the puts. Investors are willing to pay for protection against crashes. So if you want to harvest skew premium, you usually will sell puts. Gold is different. Gold is the thing people run to when they're scared. So the upside calls often carry more juice. The market is willing to overpay for upside convexity in times of stress. That means selling calls on gold can be structurally more attractive than selling puts on gold. The risk premium tilts towards the call side. So when you run a gold covered call strategy, you are long a historically strong store of value that mean reverts comparative to other asset classes. You're selling into call skew that tends to favor the seller and benefiting from the embedded contango in the gold market price. You're benefiting from the same cost of carry that hurts futures holders. Is it perfect? No. You give up some upside in big blowout rallies. That is the trade, but you are giving up some tail upside to capture a fairly consistent stream of options income that is supported by structural pricing, not just clever packaging. This is the electrician who submits a clear diagram, a clear parts list, a transparent quote. You can see where the value comes from. A good rule of thumb for performance expectations for IAUI is if you look at gold's volatility index, GVZ, the VIX of gold, over a year, you should roughly collect 80% of the amount of premium on the call side equal to GVZ. So if GVZ is on average at 25, you should collect 20% of the gold's price in call premium and participate in about 80% of the upside moves of gold. Now let's zoom out. Most investors hear all this and immediately jump to, should I put 20% in this covered call strategy? That is the wrong lens. The research on gold in diversified portfolios tends to converge on a 6 to 8% allocation as a sensible range for many investors. That's not a rule, but it's a good starting point. The key is not should I own gold? The key is how should my gold allocation be built? Let's say you decide on 6% gold allocation in a $1 million portfolio. That is a $60,000 gold exposure. Here's one way I would think about it. Take about 4% of the portfolio, $40,000, and put it into a gold covered call strategy fund like IAUI. Take a chunk in there and harvest the structural edge we just talked about, and contango is working in your favor from the call skew. Take about 2% of the portfolio, or $20,000, and allocate it to something like YGLD. That 2% you put in gets you about a 3% exposure to gold because of the 1.5 times leverage, plus an options income stream from put spreads on equities. Net result, you have 6 to 7% of an effective gold exposure in your account for the leverage. You only put 6% of your capital up, and part of the allocation is harvesting structural options premium in gold itself. Part of the allocation is giving you capital efficient exposure plus negatively correlated income via equity options. You also avoided the look sexy on Twitter product that is basically just leverage long gold with forced distributions in a fancy tax wrapper. Now, none of these numbers are magic. The point is the process. Stop thinking in terms of one-off gold trades and start thinking in terms of engineering gold exposure inside your portfolio. It's the difference between asking what gold is going to do over the next year and asking, given what I want as a stable store of value, how do I design a gold sleeve that pays me structurally from an advantage? Those are two completely different games. And look, the difference here from a naive gold allocation and an engineer one might only be 100 to 150 basis points a year. On a $200,000 portfolio, that is $2,000 to $3,000. Nice, but not life-changing. On a $2 million portfolio, that is $20,000 to $30,000 a year. That is another vacation, another year of college tuition, or an extra year of retirement funded. It just compounds quietly every single year. That is financial engineering. It's not swinging for the fences, but it's stacking small edges across every part of the portfolio until the cumulative effect is big. Finding ways across all asset classes to engineer another 2 to 3% increase in your wealth is exactly what we do for our clients at MBH Capital Management in our multi-strat. Now let's talk about the uncomfortable part. When gold is going up, a product like KGLD is exactly the type of ETF that will flood your feed. It will be all over social media. You will see headlines like 15% from gold and get paid while gold rallies without capping your upside. It sounds amazing if you don't know how it works. But now that you do, you know that many of these enhanced gold products are just synthetic or leveraged long gold positions, distributing pieces of your upside back to you as a dividend, relying on tax differences and marketing language to feel smarter than they are. Your financial advisor is supposed to be the person who filters this out for you. They should be reading the prospectus the way general contractors read submittals from subcontractors. Not just, do we get lights out of this fixture, but what exactly are we paying for? What is the risk profile? And where is the edge, if any? The reality for most investors is different. Most advisors will tell you to diversify, maybe throw 5% of your capital into gold, then grab whatever product the best wholesaler supports or the flashiest presentation or commission for themselves. That's not engineering, it's just taking orders. What we're doing here is walking through contango and carry, understanding where skew lives in different asset classes, and then deliberately pairing products to create a structural advantage. This is a level of thinking that actually compounds wealth over decades. You don't have to be a hedge fund manager to do this, but you do have to be willing to look past the marketing and ask, where does this return actually come from, and who is on the other side of this trade? My goal with these videos is simple. I want thoughtful investors to see the wiring behind their portfolio, not just the pretty paint on the walls. If this helped you see how gold is different, hit that like button so we know to make more deep dives just like this, and subscribe so you don't miss the next breakdown. I would also love to hear from you. What are the biggest questions you still have about using commodities or alternative assets inside your portfolio? Drop it in the comments below. I read every one, and they directly shape what we cover next. And if you want to go deeper right now, watch the next video on the multi-strat portfolio construction. In it, we look how different economic regimes change what you do, own, and what actually makes sense to shift your allocation. I'll see you guys on the next one.